Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. So, some of you will be watching this after the fact. It's being recorded by me, aLex, for Sun and Moon Yoga Studio on our YouTube channel. And this is Thanksgiving weekend, the Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend. Glad to have you here. The wonder of pause. I often return to this quote by Viktor Frankl, neurologist, psychologist, and Holocaust survivor, and he's the author of Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So critical is the pause. So together we take this pause to sit quietly, and we practice, because why do we need the practice? Let's see who's here. Honora is here, and Mary Beth are here. If you've probably noticed how quick your reactions come, and it's a wonderful evolutionary response coming from the part of our brain, the back lower part, called the reptilian brain, that helps us stay safe by letting us know what's not only taking in what's happening, and if something feels unsafe, we are quickly react to protect ourselves or our loved ones. So we're hardwired for that, and we have to work a little harder. But I think, and I'm very hopeful, that as we practice, that the other response, the more rest and digest and connect, maybe. There's another word for that. There's another one that goes for that, more recently added by Kira Sloan, I believe. Rest and digest, restore. That one can become maybe equally available. At least, as Viktor Frankl invites us, at least to allow perhaps a second, and in many, many instances, and especially in conversations and relations with other people, the threat is not to our life, to a life and death situation. So our responses, when we notice them come up, if there's a let me backtrack. I always take myself on these tangents. We should also celebrate, and we take time in these pauses to celebrate the good responses, the fun, the delicious times, maybe over this weekend, whether you're watching this later or in real time, the time with a friend in our very different way of celebrating this year, 2020, during the pandemic, that we almost reflect on just, wow, that was so nice to take a walk with my friend that I haven't seen in so many, many, many years, or however long, and however we could be together, or whatever is working well. To take a moment to savor that is one powerful way of pausing and growing that part of our response ability, our ability to respond with not just a fight or flight or freeze response, but with a joyfulness, an openness, a relaxedness, a welcoming, whatever that would be appropriate. So the pause is neutral. The pause is neutral, and it gives us the time to really assess more clearly what's happening and make a good response. Change is hard, right? Change, and especially this year has been so full of change. I was thinking back this morning while walking little Rue, my dog, how we were a military family. My dad was in the military and moved around a lot. So in my early years, till I was 11 years old, we celebrated holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas with family, with cousins and aunts and uncles. We went overseas for 4 years, and when we came back, things were different. Things were different. We moved a little farther away from them in the United States, and we just grew up. You just see things differently from when you're 15 and 16 than when you're 11. And the magic of those earlier gatherings had changed, and it was a big disappointment for me as a young person. I fought that change for so many years. So many years, every holiday season would have that little sadness. And it's just in the last 10, 15 years that I've begun to more celebrate the new traditions that I've made, and not mourn that loss. Although that's a necessary part too, isn't it? The mourning. So all that, the pausing, the walking, and letting our minds just be open and float, and welcoming emotions we have, welcoming whatever is here in the neutral territory, in the place where we can just settle and let all our resources arrive and see what the best response is. So the sitting practice itself, very simple. The pause itself, very simple. Sometimes the things that are so simple are actually the hardest to do. So we practice. So we practice more, right? And shift a little, get your seat. Maybe you've gotten your seat all set for the meditation that is about 12 minutes. And during the 12-minute meditation, I'll just take you into, keep guiding you with just simple words, not so much about the theory of the pause and why we do it, and but just the ability to be here in the pause, in the prolonged pause, this practice, this cultivation. So let yourself settle using the physical body, using the awareness of this vessel given to us to travel through this life, and this vessel. Settling into noticing the concrete physical sensations of this body on this spot, right where you are, right here and now. Confirming presence, aliveness. I am here. And this settling of this first step of these 3 steps that I often use to guide this simple practice: ground. Step 1, sound, and then breath. They don't always have to be in that order. I like to use ground first, though I almost always do ground. And so just gently, gently putting your attention on the surfaces of your body, the contours of the body that are touching ground. There's no need to harden attention. But if you do, if you find yourself furrowing your brow or tightening your shoulders, clenching your jaw, I invite us to notice how we meet our own reactions. This is very, very fertile ground. Huge gift of the pause. That pause of noticing as if this lens behind our attention. I call it consciousness. That consciousness sees clenching my teeth, and then consciousness might see, oh, I shouldn't be clenching my teeth, the thought that arises. Can we welcome the succession of reactions into that spaciousness of pause? So already that those pointers are kind of getting into what I call that second step sound, which is everything that's around us, arising from within us, all the processes of life, movement, change, like the sound of the bell, they arise from silence, from infinite space, from emptiness. And while we might grab hold of them and for a short or long time, eventually they melt back into emptiness, spaciousness. Aware of ground, going back to that first pointer. We're also aware of gravity, this vertical force that can help us open to relaxing in the shoulders, relaxing downward. Many, many micro releases might happen just here. And we get these wonderful gifts of new arisings, the little snorting snore of my dog. And we get to the gift of noticing our own reaction. Breath. Very useful during meditation to just lightly use the lens of attention to maybe count and watch 3 or 4 rounds of breath. Not necessarily to change it in any way, just to become more aware of this partner, this life giving force, this connecting thread. Occasionally, and maybe often, since we're just lightly attending to all the various ground, sound, breath elements, we can also just let go all of that, just open into the pause. Without losing the moorings of center, opening. from emptiness. Back to emptiness. So with attention, noting what the feel is, the tone, the feeling tone of bringing the two hands together. They come together as one, right at the midline in front of the heart, palm to palm. And notice as we bow to each other, the feel of the bow. Respect, humility, maybe a couple of the words that come to mind. Receptivity. You may have your own. So thank you for being here once again and taking this time to pause. As for me, I'm so grateful. The more of us practice this toward a more peaceful and harmonious world, I am sure. I can't help ending on one other comment about pause is, I won't swing my camera over there, but how cute and how dear and our pets' paws are to us. The little paws, the play on the words, pause and pause. So another element of pause. So I wish you many pauses, many reflections of what's wonderful and good and what you're grateful for. And also learning to pause, practicing, as Eric Schiffman tells us, on the easy stuff, to notice the reactions we have that may not be as easy to welcome, and see how we how we might see those with a little more compassion or differently, and respond in a dynamic, alive, and fresh way. Thanks, and see you next week. And do check out Sun and Moon's offerings tonight, November 29th. I think, or later this afternoon, Amir is offering a restorative practice. Fabulous pause. Ciao, ciao. See you next week.